Vincent stepped past the other human and sat heavily on some old crate. He pulled his mask off, needing to breathe freely before rubbing a hand over his face. It couldn't be her. Don't let it be her. He'd lost his dad when he was little, and despite living for a year now in the city, he always assumed he was going to be reunited with his mother, somehow, someday, to find out that she might have died. No. Just no. He looked up to ask Brian about her, when he saw the way the man was looking down at him. I know you don't. What? I'm Vincent. No. I mean, I've got it. He snapped his fingers. You're one of those fucking EE shitbags. Excuse me? Vincent blinked, confused for a moment, before realizing what he was referring to. I read about you. You're like the security guy. Got a record a mile long. You're a real piece of filth. Wait. Vincent tried to start, but the other human raised his tie-bar cannon. If this is some sort of bizarre EE utopia, you can count me out. I don't know what kind of torture this all is, or why you and your sick friends are doing it, but it's gone way too far. Wait, I lived almost my whole life in the bijou, and never asked for any kind of trouble. But once all the governments joined up, I had to deal with some of your inbred followers calling me an immigrant, even if I was. Which I'm not. I worked hard to get where I was. It wasn't some sort of conspiracy that all those lazy trailer trash thugs were losing jobs to honest, hard-working refugees, and a good portion of us knew that you were the ones behind all those damn attacks. We were just trying to live our lives, and then the EE comes in and starts ruining everything. They ruined my damn life. I spent 5 years in your damn cages just because I happened to be from the wrong damn country. Vincent started to get angry. Do you even know what you're talking about? Brian pointed the tie-bar cannon at him. Of course I do. I've been living in the bijou for years. The only reason I had to become a criminal was because you fucking people were running things. What are you even talking about? The bijou? None of that means anything to me. Don't play dumb. You bastards are all the same. Brian was shouting now, his voice echoing in the small alley. He seemed to be losing his mind, his eyes wide with a combination of fear and rage. He was clearly traumatized, his past experiences twisting his perception of Vincent into that of his tormentors. Vincent saw the fear, the desperation, and the ingrained hatred. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a deep-seated wound. Vincent knew he had to calm Brian down, or this would end badly. He raised his hands slowly, trying to project a sense of calm. Listen to me, Brian. I don't know anything about the EE or the bijou. I'm not who you think I am. I'm from a completely different world. And I'm here because of the same people who put you in those cages. Brian hesitated, his eyes narrowing, trying to gauge Vincent's sincerity. A different world? What are you talking about? I was kidnapped, Vincent explained, keeping his voice even, just like you were, by the same people who caused all those problems, the ones who are really behind everything. The wardens. Brian lowered his weapon slightly, his expression still skeptical, but a flicker of doubt entering his eyes. The wardens? What are they? They're a group of aliens who are trying to destabilize entire galaxies, Vincent said quickly. They manipulate populations, spread fear, and create chaos. They use technology to control people, to make them hate each other, and to make them believe lies. He paused, feeling a surge of empathy for Brian. They took my memories, Brian. They made me forget everything about my life, my family. They tortured me. I think they did the same to you. Brian stared at him, his face a mixture of confusion and dawning horror. The raw emotion radiating from him was palpable, a stark tapestry of fear, anger, and immense pain. It was a mirror of Vincent's own journey. The revelation seemed to hit Brian hard, shaking his preconceived notions. So the EE, they were just puppets? Brian whispered, his voice barely audible. The attacks, the immigrants, it was all them. Vincent nodded grimly. Yes. They orchestrated it all. They want to control everything by breaking down trust and turning people against each other. They used your world, your government, and your fears as their tools. Brian slumped against the wall, the tie-bar cannon falling to the ground with a clatter. His face was pale, his eyes wide with a new kind of horror, the realization that his entire life's struggles, his suffering, had been manipulated by an unseen, alien force was almost too much to bear. Brian remained silent for a long moment, staring blankly ahead. Vincent could feel the profound shift in his emotional landscape. The collapse of a carefully constructed worldview, the anger, the rage, the fear. It was still there, but now it was directed, not at Vincent, but at the unseen architects of his suffering. Catherine, Brian whispered, his voice choked with emotion. She was always so sure. She tried to warn me. She said there was something bigger, something unnatural behind it all. I just thought she was crazy. Vincent felt a pang of sympathy. Your memories are probably fragmented, just like mine were. They warp your perception, make you see what they want you to see. But the black box, if it's still intact, it might hold the truth. Brian looked down at his hand, as if noticing the device for the first time. It's been with me this whole time. I didn't even realize it. He gripped it tightly. If what you're saying is true, then we need to expose them. We need to tell everyone. We will, Vincent said, a grim determination in his voice. But first, we need to get out of here. And you need to tell me everything you remember. Everything about Catherine and that black box. Brian nodded, his eyes hardening with a newfound resolve. The shock was still there, but now it was tempered with a desire for answers, for justice. Okay, let's go. But where are we going? To my ship, Vincent replied, standing up. It's nearby. And then, we're going to find out what happened to Catherine, and we're going to expose the wardens for what they truly are, as they made their way out of the dirty alley. Vincent kept a keen eye on their surroundings. The lower sectors were always dangerous. But now, with Brian's revelations, he saw the lurking threats in a new light. Every shadowy figure, every sudden noise, felt like a potential warden trap. They reached Vincent's hidden patrol craft, a sleek, armored vehicle designed for stealth and rapid deployment. Brian's eyes widened at the sight of it. You're really not part of the EE, are you? Brian asked, a hint of awe in his voice. No, Vincent confirmed, opening the hatch. Get in. Inside the craft, as they lifted off, Vincent activated his secure comms. Kavizor, I have a civilian with me. His name is Brian. He has critical information regarding the warden's human operations, and potentially about my mother. Your mother? Kavizor's voice registered surprise. How so? He was with her, Vincent explained, a tremor in his voice. He has a black box that might contain her memories, or at least a record of what happened. Kavizor was silent for a moment. Understood. Proceed directly to the secure medical bay. Xylan will want to be informed immediately. This changes everything. As they flew towards the Enforcer headquarters, Brian began to recount his fragmented memories. He spoke of Catherine, a woman who had been obsessed with uncovering the truth behind the EE and the strange attacks. She had been a journalist, a relentless truth seeker, always digging into conspiracies that seemed too wild to be true. He remembered her talking about strange technologies, about whispers of alien involvement, and about a project that the EE was desperate to keep secret. She called it the Human Integration Project, Brian recalled, his brow furrowed in concentration. She said they were trying to blend human tech with something else, and she said it was linked to the attacks, that the attacks were designed to create fear, to make people compliant. Vincent listened intently, a chilling sense of familiarity washing over him. The Human Integration Project sounded eerily similar to his own abduction and the experiments performed on him. The fear, the compliance, it was the Void Whisperer's modus operandi. She was close. Vincent murmured, "Too close." "The black box, where did you get it?" "It was in her hand," Brian said, gripping the device. She gave it to me just before she died. She pushed me out of the way. Said I had to live. That I had to tell someone. She said, "Remember the truth." Brian. Remember everything. Vincent's heart sank. So, Catherine was indeed dead. His mother. The news hit him with a fresh wave of grief. But also a burning anger. The wardens had taken her. They had taken everything from him. They arrived at the secure medical bay. A team of enforcer medics and scientists were already waiting. Brian was gently led away for medical assessment and to have the black box analyzed. Vincent watched him go, a silent promise forming in his mind. He would get answers, and he would make the wardens pay. He then made his way to Xylan's office. The weight of the new information heavy on his shoulders. He knew Xylan would understand the gravity of this discovery. This wasn't just about galactic security anymore. It was deeply personal. Vincent entered Xylan's office. The weight of the black box's potential contents heavy on his mind. Xylan was already there. His ancient eyes focused on the holographic display, which showed the status of the Harmony signal deployments across the galaxy. Mock stood beside him, a silent, reassuring presence. "Sir," Vincent began, his voice tight. "Brian has provided crucial information. The black box he carried might contain data from my mother, Catherine. She was a journalist investigating the Human Integration Project, which sounds disturbingly similar to my own abduction." Xylan turned, his expression grim. "Catherine, the name resonates. Our ancient archives contain fragmented records of a human journalist who vanished centuries ago. During the period of the First Discord, she was known for her relentless pursuit of truth, even in the face of insurmountable odds." "That's her," Vincent confirmed, a mix of pride and sorrow in his voice. "She was trying to expose the wardens. Even then, Brian believes she transferred her data into this box just before she died." Mock placed a hand on Vincent's shoulder. "The medical team is analyzing the black box now. It's a highly sophisticated device, far beyond standard human technology. But its core structure seems to align with some of our older data storage units. The wardens clearly knew her importance." Xylan mused, looking at the display. To allow such a device to fall into a civilian's hands, even accidentally, it suggests desperation on their part to silence her. Or a flaw in their process. Vincent's mind raced. If his mother had been alive centuries ago, and he was still a young man, how was that possible? The worms, the cryogenic stasis. It all clicked into place. He was not just a victim of experimentation. He was a relic, a living bridge to a forgotten conflict. "Sir, the Human Integration Project," Brian mentioned. "I believe it was a precursor to the experiments done on me. They were trying to understand human resilience, human empathy, and then twist it for their own purposes. My mother must have been researching this. Perhaps even encountered others who were victims." Xylan's gaze sharpened. "If this black box contains uncorrupted data from that era, it could provide a direct link to the early days of the Void Whisperer's influence on human civilization. It could reveal their methods, their collaborators, even their early targets." They waited in Xylan's office, the tension palpable, until a comms officer interrupted. "Sir, the medical team has successfully accessed the black box. The data integrity is remarkable. It appears to be a personal journal, combined with encrypted research logs. Display it," Xylan commanded, his voice firm. The holographic display shifted, and Catherine's face appeared, youthful and determined, albeit slightly grainy. It was a recording, A personal video log. Vincent felt his breath catch in his throat. His mother. She was alive. At least in this moment. Entry. Personal log. Catherine's voice began, slightly distorted by age, but still clear. Date. Unknown. Location. Deep within Sector 7. Covert Warden's facility. I've made it. I've infiltrated their primary research hub. The Human Integration Project is far more horrifying than I imagined. Vincent leaned closer, his eyes glued to the image of his mother. They're not just experimenting on humans. Catherine continued, her voice filled with a mixture of horror and professional detachment. They're trying to isolate a specific neural pathway, something unique to our species. What they call empathic resonance. They believe humans have an unparalleled ability to generate and perceive emotional energy, both positive and negative. They want to weaponize it. Vincent's heart pounded. This was it. The true purpose of his torture. They're taking subjects, enhancing their empathetic abilities through extreme trauma and genetic manipulation, then trying to control the output. The goal is to create living conduits for the Void Whisperer's influence. Beings who can sow discord and amplify fear on a planetary scale without any direct contact. They call them empathic conduits. Vincent flinched, remembering the worms. He was an empathic conduit. My son. Vincent. Catherine's voice wavered slightly, a raw emotion breaking through her professional tone. He's so young. If they ever get their hands on him, I can't even imagine. I have to stop them. I've found their experimental logs. They're storing the successful conduits in cryogenic stasis, waiting for a critical mass to be achieved before mass deployment. Vincent's blood ran cold. He was one of those conduits. He had been in stasis, frozen in time, waiting to be unleashed. I'm transferring everything I found to this secure log device. Catherine continued, looking directly at the camera. It's highly encrypted, designed to bypass their network. If anything happens to me, Brian, you have to get this out. You have to tell the world. You have to expose them. They are twisting humanity's greatest strength into its greatest weakness. Her image flickered, and then the log ended. The display returned to the Enforcer's standard interface. But the silence in the room was deafening. Vincent stood frozen, the weight of his mother's legacy, her sacrifice, and the chilling confirmation of his own purpose crashing down on him. The silence in Xylan's office was heavy, broken only by the hum of the holographic display. Vincent stared at the empty screen. The image of his mother, Catherine, still vivid in his mind. He was an empathic conduit, a living weapon, and his mother had known, had fought against the very forces that had shaped him. The Warden's long game, Xylan finally said, his voice a low rumble. This human integration project predates even our earliest encounters with them. They have been cultivating this vulnerability within humanity for centuries, perhaps millennia, waiting for the optimal moment to unleash their conduits. Why humans? Vincent asked, his voice raw. Why us? Your mother's data suggests it. Vincent, Mock interjected, his gaze fixed on the screen. Your species' unique empathic resonance, a powerful ability to connect, to feel deeply, to unite, but in the wrong hands, that connection can be twisted, used to amplify division and fear on a scale no other species can achieve. Vincent nodded, a chilling realization dawning on him. His ability to quell fear, to harmonize discord, was a reverse of what the Wardens intended. He was the counter-weapon, forged by their own experiments, but through a twist of fate, turned against them. We need to find these other empathic conduits, Vincent stated, his resolve hardening. If they're in cryogenic stasis, waiting to be deployed, then they are ticking time bombs. We need to liberate them. to bring them back to harmony. Xylan looked at Vincent, a flicker of something akin to admiration in his ancient eyes. A formidable task. Vincent, their locations would be deeply hidden, guarded by the most fanatical warden cells, and the conduits themselves would be highly unstable. Their minds warped by the experiments. "I'll do it," Vincent said without hesitation. "I know what they've been through. I know how to reach them, and I owe it to my mother." Over the next few weeks, Vincent, aided by Mock and a dedicated team of Enforcer analysts, meticulously combed through Catherine's decrypted research logs. Her journalistic instincts had led her to incredibly detailed information. Partial coordinates, energy signatures of stasis pods, and even psychological profiles of the Warden scientists involved in the Human Integration Project. He discovered that the Wardens had established several hidden stasis facilities across various galaxies. Not just within the human-occupied sectors, they were scattered, isolated, designed to be activated remotely once the critical mass of conduits was reached. One particular set of coordinates stood out. A facility hidden within a nebula known as the Veil of Shadows, a region notoriously difficult to navigate due to its dense cosmic dust and fluctuating energy fields. Catherine's notes indicated it was one of the earliest and most secure stasis sites, likely holding the most powerful or perfected conduits. "This is it." Vincent showed the coordinates to Xylan, the Veil of Shadows. "My mother suspected it was their primary storage facility for the early subjects." Xylan's expression tightened. "The Veil of Shadows is a perilous region. Few Enforcer vessels dare venture there without extensive preparation. Its energy fields interfere with all known scanning and navigation systems. But my empathic abilities might work," Vincent suggested. "I can feel the emotional resonance of the conduits. Even through the interference, it would be a faint signal, but enough to guide us." Xylan considered this a risky gambit, but given the stakes, perhaps a necessary one. "Mock will accompany you. He knows the Veil better than any other Enforcer. Take a stealth vessel. Discretion is paramount." Vincent and Mock prepared for the mission, gathering specialized equipment designed to operate within the Veil of Shadows. Vincent spent hours meditating, focusing his empathic senses, trying to pierce through the cosmic noise and locate the faint emotional signals of the stasis-bound conduits. He felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. He was going to meet others like him, others who had suffered the same fate. They departed in a sleek, black stealth ship, designed to blend into the cosmic dust and evade detection. As they approached the Veil of Shadows, the stars began to blur, replaced by swirling patterns of gas and shimmering energy. The ship's systems flickered, struggling against the interference. "Standard navigation is useless here." Mac's voice was calm. "Despite the turbulent environment, we'll be relying on your senses." "Vincent, direct me." Vincent closed his eyes, focusing his empathy. He pushed past the overwhelming cosmic static, searching for the subtle emotional resonance of the conduits. It was like trying to find a single, faint heartbeat in the roar of a cosmic storm. But then, he felt it, a cold, distant echo of fear, and a dull hum of suspended consciousness. "East," Vincent directed, pointing. "There's a cluster of them, faint, but definitely there. They're deep within the nebula." Mock adjusted the ship's course, expertly navigating through treacherous energy currents and asteroid fields. The journey was slow and tense, every minute feeling like an eternity. Finally, after hours of navigation, a faint, almost invisible structure appeared on their short-range scanners. A heavily camouflaged Warden facility, buried deep within a large asteroid. Mock expertly navigated the stealth ship deeper into the Veil of Shadows, the nebular dust and energy currents buffeting the vessel. Vincent kept his eyes closed, his concentration absolute, guiding Mach with subtle shifts in direction. The faint echoes of the conduit's suspended consciousness grew stronger. A chilling symphony of silent, contained minds. We're almost there, Vincent murmured, his voice strained from the effort. The emotional resonance is incredibly strong now. It's a large facility, heavily shielded. I can feel the presence of warden guards. Enhanced ones. Mach nodded, his knuckles white as he gripped the controls. Understood. Prepare for infiltration. Remember, our primary objective is the conduits. Avoid direct confrontation if possible, but be ready for anything. The ship finally settled into a hidden docking bay within the asteroid facility. The moment they disembarked, Vincent felt an overwhelming wave of suppressed emotion. Fear, anger, despair, all contained, but struggling to break free. It was like standing next to a psychic pressure cooker. This place is a nightmare, Vincent whispered, pulling out his magnum. The sheer volume of contained emotion, it's suffocating. They moved through the facility. A cold, clinical environment of steel and sterile lighting. Vincent's empathic senses were his guide, leading them through a maze of corridors, past automated defense systems, and hidden security cameras. He could sense the patrolling warden guards before they saw them, allowing Mach to neutralize them swiftly and silently. These were not the fanatical, suicide-prone wardens they had encountered before. These were cold, professional soldiers, trained to guard secrets. They reached the central chamber, a massive, cylindrical room that hummed with arcane energy. Inside, hundreds of transparent stasis pods were arranged in concentric circles, each containing a human figure. Frozen in time, their faces were serene, untouched by the passage of centuries. But Vincent could feel the immense, latent emotional energy contained within each one. Hundreds? Mach breathed, awe and horror in his voice. They were planning to unleash an army of these conduits. Suddenly, alarms blared. A stray patrol had discovered one of the neutralized guards. Warden reinforcements flooded into the chamber from multiple entrances, led by heavily armored Servian slashers, their bladed arms whirring with lethal intent. They're here, Mach roared, drawing his heavy energy rifle. Vincent, get to the central console. Disable the stasis fields. I'll hold them off. Vincent nodded, already sprinting towards the console. He could feel the growing chaos as the warden guards engaged Mach, their weapons firing, the air filling with the sounds of battle. Mach was a whirlwind of controlled destruction, but even he couldn't hold off an entire army indefinitely. Vincent reached the console, a complex array of glowing controls and holographic displays. He quickly began to work, trying to decipher the alien interface. He could feel the stasis field's unique energy signatures, each connected to a conduit. He needed to activate the harmony signal, not just to release them, but to cleanse their minds. As he worked, a massive, enhanced Servian slasher broke through Mach's line, lunging directly at Vincent. Vincent barely had time to react, dodging the bladed arm as it sliced through the air inches from his face. He fired his magnum, hitting the slasher's chest, but it barely flinched. Vincent, look out, Mach shouted, but he was pinned down by a flurry of laser fire. The slasher roared, raising its bladed arms for a killing blow. Vincent knew he couldn't fight it and work on the console at the same time. He needed a distraction. He quickly pulled out a sonic disruptor from his belt, a small device designed to disorient, and tossed it at the slasher. The disruptor emitted a high-pitched, piercing shriek that momentarily stunned the slasher, causing it to reel back. Vincent took the brief respite, focusing on the console. He finally found the master controls for the stasis units. He activated the harmony signal, amplifying it throughout the chamber. A wave of pure, serene energy rippled through the stasis pods. The conduits within stirred, their serene faces contorting in pain. Then slowly relaxing, the oppressive emotional energy in the chamber began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm, of peace. But the process was not instantaneous. Some of the conduits, those who had endured longer or more severe experimentation, thrashed within their pods, their latent fear and trauma reacting violently to the harmony signal. The stasis pods flickered, their seals groaning under the internal pressure. The harmony signal is causing a feedback loop in some of the more unstable conduits. An enforcer engineer's voice crackled over Vincent's comm. A remote connection through Max systems. Their psychic resonance is too volatile. They could overload and explode. Vincent looked at the struggling conduits, their faces contorted in silent agony, and felt a profound sense of empathy. He couldn't let them explode. He had to help them. He had to take on their pain, to guide them through the process. He reached out, extending his hand towards the console, his empathic connection flowing outwards, directly into the harmony signal, and into the minds of the conduits. He was pushing his own energy, his own balance, into the system, trying to stabilize the volatile ones, to soothe their fractured minds. The effort was immense. Vincent gasped, a searing pain shooting through his head as he absorbed the raw, untamed emotions of hundreds of traumatized individuals. He felt their despair, their anger, their years of enforced isolation. It was overwhelming, threatening to shatter his own mind. "Vincent, what are you doing?" Mac's voice boomed. Concern etched on his face as he saw Vincent grimace in pain. "I have to stabilize them." Vincent gasped, his vision blurring. "I have to absorb the excess energy, or they'll die." He pushed harder, drawing on every ounce of his willpower, every fiber of his being. The pain was excruciating, but he held on, his focus unwavering. He was their bridge to sanity, their anchor in the storm of their own minds. Vincent pushed through the agony, his mind fighting to maintain cohesion. The raw emotions of the conduits, hundreds of fragmented human minds screaming in silent terror, threatened to overwhelm him. He could feel their memories, their lost lives, their experiences, all compressed and amplified by the warden's grotesque experiments. It was a chaotic storm of human consciousness, and he was standing at its center. He gasped, a guttural sound escaping his lips as a wave of extreme loneliness washed over him. A feeling of being utterly isolated in a vast, cold universe. It was the collective despair of all the conduits, their centuries of enforced stasis without connection. Vincent fought it, pushing his own sense of connection, his own memories of Mach, of Xylan, of the peace they had built, back into the torrent. Mach, seeing Vincent's distress, redoubled his efforts against the wardens. He was a force of nature, protecting Vincent with every ounce of his strength. But the sheer numbers of the enhanced slashers and warden guards were immense. He knew that if Vincent fell, the mission, and possibly the galaxy, would be lost. Inside Vincent's mind, the struggle continued. He was losing himself in the collective pain. He saw fragments of their lives. A scientist staring at a distant star, a child laughing in a field of flowers, a lover's embrace, a soldier's last stand. All these beautiful, heartbreaking moments were being twisted by the warden's influence, converted into raw emotional energy for their twisted designs. But amidst the chaos, a single, pure emotion began to emerge from the storm. A whisper of hope. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a resonance of their original, untainted human spirit, a yearning for connection that even centuries of manipulation could not extinguish. This was the strength his mother had spoken of, The unique empathic resonance that the Wardens sought to weaponize. Vincent seized on that hope. He focused his own harmony signal, his deepest sense of empathy and connection, into that faint whisper. He wasn't fighting the pain anymore. He was embracing it and transforming it. He poured his own essence, his journey from victim to guardian, into the conduits, showing them a path back to themselves. Slowly, agonizingly, the thrashing in the stasis pods began to subside. The volatile emotional energy stabilized, and the pressure within the containment field lessened. The chaotic roars in Vincent's mind softened, replaced by a dull ache, and then a fragile stillness. He collapsed against the console, sweat pouring down his face, his body trembling with exhaustion. But when he looked at the stasis pods, the faces of the conduits were calm. Their eyes, though still closed, no longer held the terrifying flicker of pain. The harmony signal had worked. He had cleansed them. "Vincent, are you all right?" Mock was suddenly by his side, having fought his way through the remaining Wardens, who were now in disarray, their command structure broken by the loss of their enhanced units and the disruption of the stasis field. Vincent nodded, taking deep, ragged breaths. They're stable. They're dormant now, not corrupted. Mock quickly secured the console, initiating a full system lockdown of the stasis chamber. The remaining Warden forces, realizing their project was a failure, began to retreat, attempting to escape into the nebula. "Get medical teams in here, immediately." Mock barked into his comm, "and retrieval teams for the conduits. Vincent needs immediate medical attention." Vincent, despite his exhaustion, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had saved them, hundreds of innocent lives, victims of the same horrifying experiments, were now free from the Warden's influence. This was the true redemption his mother had fought for. Over the next few days, the Enforcer medical teams worked tirelessly to revive the conduits. The process was slow and delicate. Each human, after centuries of stasis and emotional manipulation, required careful reacclimatization. Vincent, once he had recovered sufficiently, was instrumental in their rehabilitation. His unique empathy allowed him to bridge the gap, helping them navigate their fragmented memories and the shock of waking up in a completely different galaxy. Centuries after their own time, he explained their past, the Warden's experiments, and the long war that had been fought to free them. He spoke of his mother, Catherine, and her sacrifice, giving them a sense of purpose and connection to the truth. Many of the conduits, once they understood what had happened to them, expressed a fierce desire to join the Enforcers and fight against the remnants of the Wardens. They wanted to ensure that no one else suffered their fate. The success of the conduit liberation in the Veil of Shadows sent shockwaves through the galaxy. It was a powerful blow against the Wardens, not just militarily, but psychologically. Their ultimate weapon had been disarmed, and their victims had been turned into allies. Xylan visited Vincent in the medical bay. "You have accomplished what we believed impossible. Vincent, you have turned their greatest weapon into a symbol of hope. The galaxy owes you a profound debt." Vincent looked at the recovering conduits, their faces slowly regaining their humanity. "My mother started this, sir. I just finished what she began." He knew, however, that the fight against the Void Whisperers was eternal. This was merely a battle won, not the war concluded. His life as the galaxy's guardian, its emotional harmonizer, was just beginning. He would continue to listen for the whispers of discord, forever vigilant, forever dedicated to fostering harmony in a vast, unpredictable cosmos.